Welcome, I'm Erica Onofrio of Soul to Soul, and I'm here to talk all about crystals today. So by the end of this video, you're gonna know what to do with a crystal, you're gonna know how to charge a crystal, and you're gonna know how to pick a crystal out. Those are the three topics I'm gonna cover today. So first thing is what to do with a crystal. Now, it depends on the size of the crystal. So we have little crystals that are super tiny, you can see them, and these kind of crystals are awesome to put into your bra if you're a female, or your pockets. You can also put them in your purse, although it's better to have them closer to your body rather than further away. So sometimes I hear people saying that, like, I carry them around in my purse, but purse isn't always that close to you. And the reason we even say to put them in the bra is because we want them to be nice and close to your heart space, right? So the lovely energy that emanates off crystals, we want to have that as close to our hearts as possible and as close to our bodies and in our energy fields as possible. So the smallest crystals, go ahead and place them in your bra, place them in your pockets, keep them close to you. Now, what if they're a little bit larger, right? Like, I'm not going to stuff this bad boy in my bra or pocket. And it's also pretty heavy. So these bigger kinds of crystals, you can actually sleep with them in your bed. Of course, you want to be careful that you're not going to be rolling over on it. But I actually have this one in my bed quite frequently, and I will say that you sort of just like know, you have that awareness of where it is, and I've never once like rolled over and been uncomfortable or anything like that on it. But you can literally put them in your bed. So sometimes people will put crystals down by their feet at the bottom of their bed. So that's like black tourmaline you would do that with, or any of the darker crystals, smoky quartz. You would put them by your feet as they sort of pull negative energy out of the body. And then you can also put any sort of crystal into your bed that you want beside you for whatever thing you're going through, right? So this one is actually a moonstone. And the reason I put this one in my bed is whenever I'm going through a transformational phase in my life, I like to have that extra energy because this is all about transformation. A very common one a lot of people sleep with at night is a rose quartz. It has a beautiful calming energy. It's just like the energy of unconditional love, and it helps people fall asleep. Whenever I get to a point where I can't fall asleep, or I wake up in the middle of the night and have a hard time falling back asleep, I grab onto my rose quartz and hold that close to me, usually close to my heart and in my hand, and usually fall right asleep. It has just this beautiful, soothing, gentle energy. It's also my favorite crystal to give as gifts, particularly for people sleeping with them in their bed. So you can, while you're sleeping with this crystal, you can hold it in your hand if you want to. Some of them are easier to hold than others because they're not as large, so you can hold it in your hand while you sleep. You can also slide it underneath your pillow. Of course, use your judgment. I'm not going to put this under my pillow, but I would certainly put one of the smaller crystals or a flat crystal underneath the pillow without a problem. And then, like I said, you can also hold it. Sometimes I just sort of have this one nearby, like it's just somewhere in the bed. And obviously it depends on what your sleeping situation looks like. But the bottom line is that you want to have it somewhere close to you, close to your physical body, as much as possible. That's the idea of crystals. We want to have them in our energy fields so that their positive energy can affect our energy fields, as well as the very particular energy that crystal brings to the table. We want to be able to utilize that to the fullest. So while it's beautiful, like for example, I have some of these crystals that's sitting nearby, and I leave them on display. They're beautiful and lovely, but they're not really doing a whole lot of quote unquote work there, right? Unless I bring them close to me and hold them close to me. That being said, that is another alternative. So aside from putting them in the bra, putting it in the pocket, sleeping with them under the pillow, or sleeping in them with your hand, or maybe at the end of the bed, you can also have them as decoration in the house. So you can certainly put some out in different places around the house. Popular places are windowsills, like shelves, things like that. I actually have them on windowsills all over. And another place is in your plants, right? So it's nice for your plants and it's nice for the crystals to sort of have that collaboration. And plus you're putting that like energy, that heightened energy in all of these different places around your house. So you're essentially building And I won't get into this, about building like a little crystal grid around your house, especially if you're doing like all four corners. You can Google that kind of stuff, but essentially you want to be having that energy spread out. So it's not like I have 35 crystals on my nightstand and not one anywhere else in the house. You want to have them spread out around the house. Aside from windowsills and decoration, another place that you can put them is above your door frame. So this is a super popular one. If you have the small little ones, you can do that. Another one I often see above door frames is like raw selenite. So like these raw selenite rods, you know, ones that aren't gonna like roll over and fall off onto people. But you can put them above your doorway. So like sort of a way to energize anyone who walks through that doorway, or to keep negative energy out of your home and just keep positive energy home, to sort of wipe off whatever's going on as you come through that door. So that's another option. Now, I do want to briefly talk about what kinds of crystals you're going to be wanting to put into your bra or pocket or in your bed with you, because some crystals are not friendly when it comes to like being handled a lot, right? So little stones that are polished, you know, they look shiny, or even little stones that are raw, but they seem very solid, like nothing's going to fall off of them. Those ones are fine to have in a bra and pocket and in the bed and stuff like that. But crystals like this one, the thing with this is they have these like chips. I mean, I just bring it up there, that fall off, right? So like little pieces of this crystal fall off all of the time. Same thing with raw selenite. Little pieces of selenite flake off all of the time. You're not going to want this in your bed. You know, they make these in much smaller sizes, obviously, but you're not going to want them like close to your skin or underneath your pillow or in your bed, because it's going to leave little splinters of crystals, and that's going to hurt, obviously, if it gets stuck in your finger or your skin or something like that. So you do want to be mindful. Polished crystals are usually great, not an issue. Sometimes they shape them into pretty little hearts like that. But the ones that have that sort of like a little bit of flakiness to them, even this one sort of has these flakes that kind of chunk off of here, even though that's a little candle holder. Those ones you want to watch out for, okay? So just be mindful of that before you start using them. Now, using them as decoration is totally fine, putting them around your house, like I said, but you can also take them sometimes from the space where they're being decorated and use them in a meditation. So, or even just holding them, okay? So we'll talk about both of those different things. If you are someone who already is into meditating, you will probably have some sort of fashion in the way that you do this. You know, so a lot of people use apps, some people do silent meditations. Depending on how long you've been doing it, you have a way that you feel, right? I have a way that I expect to feel every single time I go into a meditation, but I've been meditating daily for many years. If you're brand new to it, you're probably not going to see much difference between meditating one way versus another way. However, you will over time. So essentially what I'm trying to get to is adding a crystal into a meditation is a very valuable way to add in sort of a new energy into your space, an energy into your field during your meditation, right? So it can heighten that meditation. The example I'm going to share is that I've been meditating daily for, I think, like 8 years or something like that at this point, but for a period of time, I want to say maybe 3 months or so, I was taking this amethyst, just holding it in my hand and holding it over my solar plexus and meditating daily with the amethyst. And so, like I said, for someone who's been doing it every single day, you're going to notice, like I noticed right away, that there was a difference in that meditation. There was a different way that the energy of the meditation felt by incorporating this crystal. And of course, what I do periodically is I'll meditate with different types of crystals, because different crystals offer different types of energy. So whenever you are using crystals, you kind of know, like, you can learn which ones do what things, you know? So like this black tourmaline, this is wonderful when I need to sort of release any kind of negative energy that I'm holding on to, or sort of anything that's like heavy and dense that I just sort of can't get to the bottom of, or I need to release it. That's when I'll meditate with that black tourmaline, and that's when I'll place it on whatever body part that I need to, like chakra space essentially. or I'll just hold it in my hand and meditate with it like that. So the idea essentially is that depending on the crystal, it's going to bring in that different energy to your meditations. And it's going to bring that different energy into your energy field. So now if you're like, hey, listen, Erica, that sounds cool and all of that, but I'm not into meditating yet, or like I haven't even, I've done the Calm app like 4 times and it's not working for me. The first thing I'm going to say is that keep going with it, because meditation is a quote unquote practice, you know. So in the beginning, it's not that easy. And even for someone like my own self, there's some days that I'll, you know, sit to do my meditation and it doesn't bring me to the space that I'm expecting it to bring me to, right? It doesn't take me to that place, or it's too difficult for me to calm my mind down. And like that just happens sometimes, and that's okay, you know, accepting that that's how it is. But the thing with meditation is you can't just try it 2 or 3 times and then give up. You know, that's like saying, I tried surfing twice and I couldn't figure out how to get up on the board. Like, no, you know, how does a surfer figure out how to do it? They keep going, they keep doing it over and over and over again. So just like anything else that we do in life, you know, you don't want to give up after just a few tries and like, oh, my mind won't quiet down, or I ended up feeling worse. You want to keep going with it because you will eventually feel better. This isn't, you know, just even some woo-woo talk. This is like backed by studies about what meditation does to the brain, and how it makes people feel so much better, and how it changes the way that we actually think and view the world. So that's my little speech on that. Let's go into, though, if you are in that space where you're like, I'm not a meditator, I'm not really doing that kind of thing, but I did buy crystals and I want to use them and I want to get some value out of them, and I bought ones I can't stick in my bra or put underneath my pillow or hold while I sleep at night. What can I do with them then? And it's really the same exact thing as anyone who's doing meditation. Just hold them, you know, hold them close to you. If you want to, you can lay them down and you can place them on the different chakra points. You know, I would definitely, I'm not going to get into that at this point. Maybe I'll do a video on that later, but you want to make sure that you're sort of matching the crystal to the chakra. But you can also just sort of put them on spots of your body that hurt. So I had a friend who was in the hospital for some heart issues, and I brought her a clear quartz, similar to this one, just a little bit smaller but polished. And I just had her rub it on her chest, like right in the space of her heart, right where that issue was. You know, she just kind of rubbed it there. She held it there. A lot of times the crystals will warm up, and it just feels good to hold them. And so you can literally just hold the crystal. Right? You don't have to do anything crazy and special with it. Just hold it. Let's have it in your energy field. And so what that can look like is, it can look like while you're doing your schoolwork. This is something actually I do while I'm doing writing for my business. I'll put a crystal right in my lap while I'm doing my writing. Another thing that you can do is if you're watching TV or you're watching a movie or something like that, just hold the crystal in your hand. I like the ball crystals because you can like play with them, right? You know, you're moving them back and forth. You can rub the crystal on a place that hurts, you know, like my arm is sore, I can rub it on my arm. You just want to put it in your energy field. Somehow, some way, you just sort of want to have it close to you. It doesn't have to be overly complicated. And I think that's part of the issue, is that a lot of stuff gets super overcomplicated, and it doesn't have to be overly complicated. Just bring it into your life somehow in some way and hold it, you know, have it around you. That's going to help you. I will say, even the ones that are like, if you haven't built a grid and you just sort of have some out for decoration, those still help you in the sense that like they're so beautiful to look at, you know? So I keep a Larimar, like a raw Larimar, in the bathroom on the windowsill. And I just love looking at it, you know, and Larimar is a very calming stone. The story is that it's from the Dominican Republic, and the man who found it, his daughter was named something, Lara something. So I can't remember it exactly. But it's like Lar is the first part of her name, and then E, which in Spanish is N, and Mar, which in Spanish means ocean. So it's just Larimar, you know, of the ocean. And it's just this beautiful blue color, and it's a very calming stone and a very healing stone. And I have it just, you know, on the windowsill in the bathroom, and every day I look at it and it's just like, you know, it's just nice to have it there and have it around. So like I said, you know, having them around still helps, right? All of that still helps. None of it hurts. No parts of having crystals around hurts anything, okay? All right, so now that we know what it is that we can do with these crystals, let's talk about charging crystals, right? Because this is another big thing that people get very confused with. I bought crystals, I don't know what to do with them, and I don't know how to charge them. So like, what does that even mean? Here's the bottom line with that. Essentially, the idea is that crystals are going to absorb energy that's around them. So when you first get a crystal, you want to sort of clean off the energy that is that the crystal is carrying from wherever it's been. Okay, so obviously it came out of the center of the earth somehow. It's made its way all the way to you somehow. I don't know what that journey was like and how many hands it passed through and how many places it went, but you want to clear off all of that sort of energy so you have like the nice pure energy of the actual crystal itself and the energy and vibration that that crystal brings to the table. The other thing is that crystals without a charge is like you without food, okay? Not going to work that well. So you want to make sure that you charge it somehow, all right? So just think about the crystal needs its food in order for it to work, in order for it to have sort of that full energy to the crystal. So the way that you charge it is thinking about this, right? It's from the earth. So this comes from the center of the earth. That's where the energy of it originally came from. So that's where we want to send it back to, essentially, in order for it to have some energy. So this can be as simple as placing it outside on the ground. Now, if you put it outside on the ground, you want to make sure you remember where you put it. I have heard of people burying it in the ground. I don't really recommend doing that because if you don't remember where you put it, then you're out some crystals. And really placing it on the ground is sufficient. And just leave it there. You can leave it there overnight, or you can just leave it there for a few hours during the day. And just sort of basically what that's doing, it's cleansing and it's charging. It's allowing any energy that needs to leave it, like you're grounding the crystal, allowing any energy that needs to leave the crystal to leave it, and allowing it to fill up with energy from the earth. Another way that you can charge a crystal is by using the light of the full moon, like the energy of the full moon. So the energy of the full moon is most powerful, obviously the day of the full moon, but you also have the day before the full moon and you have the day after the full moon. And essentially it's just that light from the moon, okay? We want to put it outside. We want it to be able to touch that light of the moon or be touched by the light of the moon. And that's going to clean it and that's going to energize it. Another way that you can give your crystals some energy is with the sunlight. Now, with that, you want to be a little bit careful because certain crystals don't really care for the sun very much. For example, this purple amethyst, if you were to leave this like living in a windowsill for too long, it's going to lose that purple color to it. And it's going to end up turning lighter. So just Google, before you go ahead and put them in the windowsill with sunlight, or if you put them outside the sunlight, which ones can go in sunlight and which ones can't. So for the most part, most of them can, and even the ones that they say like quote unquote can't go in the sunlight, I will still charge them in the sunlight, but I'll just leave them there for a minimum amount of time, like maybe 30 minutes or so, and that's sufficient. Okay. Another way to charge the crystal, so let's say, you know what, Erica, listen, I live in the city and I don't have a place to charge crystals outside in the full moonlight and on the dirt and all of that kind of stuff. I hear you. So there is, this is called like a selenite block, and it's a selenite charging block, right? So like I said, this is raw selenite, so you could totally use raw selenite and you could place your crystals on the raw selenite. That will actually, oops, they're falling. That will actually cleanse and charge the crystals. You can also use a selenite block, and that's just like a nice smooth block. It's been polished for this purpose. You can put it next to your bedside table and you can put your crystals on there after you're done using them or before you want to use them. If you haven't used them in a while and you know that they need to be cleansed and charged first, you can do that. It's very simple. Throw it on there for a half hour. I usually leave that block next to my bed. It's on my bedside table, and any crystals that I've had in my bra for the day, I just throw them on there. Any crystals that I used for the day, I throw them on there. Or any crystals that I know that I'm going to want to be using for a meditation and that I haven't handled in a while, they haven't been out in the moon, stuff like that. I just throw them on that block for a little while until they're like ready, you know? So if you're sensitive to energy, you will feel this readiness. You'll feel this vibration coming from the crystals. You'll be able to tell if they're like in a good space, they have a good vibration, or if they are in need of some energy. And if you're not at that space yet where you're using your intuition in that manner, it's okay. It's totally okay. You can just put it on the block, whatever. Give it some time and use it. It's not going to hurt anything if it's not like perfect, right? This is again is keeping this simple. This stuff is supposed to be simple. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be helping you. When we start to get stressed out about it, then it's actually doing the opposite effect of what it's supposed to be doing. Now, another way to clean them is to actually take it through the smoke of sage. So you can light the sage, blow out the lit part, allow it to be smoking, and just sort of pass the crystal through that sage smoke. That will cleanse it. Honestly, I don't even know if it charges it, but I know it definitely cleanses it. Usually if I'm doing it that way, I'll kind of pass it through that, and then I'll stick it on a windowsill, or I'll stick it on that selenite charging block, okay? Another question I get asked a lot is, how do I know when it needs to be charged? And with that, again, like I said, if you're a little bit more intuitive, you can kind of energetically feel that it's like lost its charge, it's lost its vibe. But good rule of thumb, if you're using it daily, just clean it daily. If you're wearing it in your bra for 12 hours a day, just put it in a windowsill, or put it on that selenite block every single day. If you are using it to just do a meditation, like for example, like I said, I was using this one to do a meditation with, I think I only charged it maybe once a week because I was using it for a half-hour meditation every single day. So when you think about like the amount of time that you're using, that's kind of how you can judge that. And also start to get to form a little bit of a relationship with your crystals, It's not like something weird. It's, these are your little presents from Earth. And so get to know them, kind of get to know how they feel. Sometimes I can just kind of look at it and I can see that it's like feels off, it looks off. And I know I need some time in the sun, or I need some time in the moon, or I need some time on the selenite pad. All right, so that is how to charge a crystal. That is what to do with a crystal. Like I said, these are basic, simple things to get you started. The next one I'm going to cover is how to pick a crystal, because a lot of people ask those questions all the time. How do I choose how do I know which crystal to choose? And what I suggest always is just allow that crystal to pick you. So when you see, go into a crystal shop and you see tons of crystals, it can be very overwhelming. And like, I don't know what any of them do. I don't know which one I need. Turn off that thinking brain and just allow your intuition to take over. Just go through and sort of look around at them. If one calls to you, you feel really attracted to one, pick that crystal up. That's the one you need. It's as simple as that. I remember a time I went to a crystal expo show with a friend, and I was still newer at everything. And I was panicking because I was like, oh my gosh, I should have studied for our game. I don't know what crystals I need. And I was buying them not just for me, but also for my business. And I was like, Erica, get a grip. Like, stop thinking about this. You're going about this completely the wrong way. You're forgetting who you are. Turn off your thinking brain and just intuitively pick these crystals and take them home, whatever ones call to you. Then I ended up buying a ton of crystals, right? And I bought a ton of them for my office that I had at the time, and I bought a ton of them to be selling, and it was just perfect. It was just perfect. Like, it was the exact crystals I needed, because when I went home, obviously I started to look them all up so I could learn about all of them. What did they do? And it was just, all of it was perfect. And even the crystals that I had to sell, it was like the ones that the people that were coming in needed. And that was one of my favorite things about selling crystals in my office, was that I would go up to the warehouse and I would just intuitively pick out tons of crystals, and then I would go back to my office and just place them all out with a little tags and stuff, and like watching people choose the crystal, you know, was just so exciting for me because there's just so much magic in that experience for me, because it would be like, I don't know why I'm picking this crystal, but I know I need to bring it home, and then watching the person that matched with the crystal to get it and to buy it is just, it's one of my favorite things. So intuitively pick your crystals, you know. I mean, yes, if you need to, you can be like, I have a broken heart and I need crystals for a broken heart. Then like go ahead and look up what crystals are good for a broken heart and order it online or whatever. But you can also, especially if you're in person, just go and let the crystal pick you. See what you're called to, see what you're drawn to. And over time too, like, you know what, sometimes I've had crystals now for a while and I'm like, I'm over that one. Like, I don't want to be, like, I don't need that one or whatever. And then you find yourself later wanting it again because you've shifted and you've moved into a different space. And as we grow and learn, we can keep growing and learning. And sometimes we circle back to some of the old stuff, or sometimes we're pulling out a deeper layer of some of that old stuff. And when we do that, we need to go back to some of that older energy, so to speak, or older crystal, or, you know, the one that we used to use, like this guy, you know, that I used to use daily for like 3 months when I was just getting, before I even started my business, actually, that one. But anyway, that is what I have to say about crystals for today. If you have more questions, you want me to go deeper on any topics, you have other questions about crystals or something like that, just let me know in the comments and I'll make another video particular to answer your question. Thanks for joining me so much. Again, I'm Erica Onofrio of Soul to Soul, and I am happy to have you here.